We got well over an inch of rain over the weekend and things are wet. Oh my goodness. I was in the fields today taking some measurements on the combine and it's going to be bad. Thankfully, we're waiting on beans to ripen and not for it to dry up. So hopefully by the time they're ready to go again, it is dry. Today we're going to kind of pick up where we left off. I got to pull the brake caliper off of this 936 Versatile. They got seized and we used it after a couple months and they got completely smoked out. So we'll pull the brakes off of here. Found another crack and we're gonna reinforce some of the welds that I did the other day, just so that I hopefully don't have to touch them again. I hate doing a job and then knowing in a couple years, if we still have this disc, that crack's gonna be back. So I'm gonna try and do that properly. And then hopefully we get onto the 853A. I'd love to start putting it back together, finish up that conversion, and then kind of start going over it and actually seeing how it is, so that by the time we're ready to do sunflowers, I don't have to think about the header. It's just hook up and go. So that's what today is going to look like. It really is amazing that this one caliper is supposed to stop that and anything it's pulling. But that does all right. We're going to send that off, get it rebuilt, and start working on the disc. So here's that repair I did. That it's a good solid repair, but I think it'll crack again, and I was gonna leave it because I was lazy, but I don't want to do it again. So we're gonna put a little gusset here, because I think this crack starts right here where this weld starts, because there's no support where this bolt is. So we'll put a piece of metal in here and then we'll throw a big gusset triangle right here, just because it's easy and it'll help disperse some load. Hopefully that'll keep things running smoothly for a long time, if not for always. As you can tell, it's very much an afterthought, but I do want it to be stronger and this will help. I have to make sure that there's still room to get a socket in there, so I'm not going to do any welding on the inside. We did one pass down on there, couple here. Now we'll fold the wing up and put a bunch of good weld on the bottom there, and it should add a lot of strength. Before we fold the wing up though, we will add a gusset in right here as well, I think. If you guys don't know by now, soapstone pencils, the best thing you can do if you're using a torch. You won't burn it off, you'll still be able to see your line. I'm making my second gusset now. We'll torch that like that. We'll cut this out right here, because that'll be where the weld is in the corner. And we'll get rid of this edge, just because I'm cutting these gussets out of some 3/8 angle. It's just what they had and it works well. So soapstone pencils, use them. And before, a buddy of mine showed me, use a grinder to grind a point on them. They're way better too. All these little tricks, guys. Something only a mother could love, but I'll tell you what, it looks like it's gonna be strong, so let's get her welded in. Well, I think that turned out pretty well. Doesn't look perfect, but it's definitely stronger. So now we will fold this wing up so that I can weld the bottom of that front gusset, and then we'll fold it back down, do that landing gear, and hopefully be done this thing in an hour. This crack here that I ground out, I welded it before and it re-cracked, so I'll put a backing plate on here, weld it up, and then we'll, I don't know, put something on the front here, maybe make it a bit stronger. We got our plate made. I mean, there's not much room to do anything fancy here, so we'll just stick it on here, and we won't weld right here on this corner, and we won't do any welding on the top. And it should be fairly decent, I think. And it turns out to look a little something like that. I mean, turns out nice, got the shape to it, welded up good. Hopefully that one doesn't crack again either. Andrew's shipping wheat all day today. And now I'm gonna start working on the 853A. We are working on the 853A now. We've already done a lot to it. We pulled the auger out of it. It needed a bit of work, and I figured if the auger's out, then we can patch a couple holes in the floor. We've done that. We're kind of at the point that we're ready to put the auger back in, but there's plates on either side that hold it in. One's got a bearing in it, the other, changes the angle on your fingers in the auger. And they're always cracking, always cracked out. Plates on this header were pretty bad, so I grabbed the plates off of our other header, but there's some cracks starting, so before they get too bad, I'm gonna weld it up and reinforce it, and then I think we'll start getting the mounts cut in and put in on the header to convert it over to a 595. Here's my one plate that holds the fingers on the angle that you put them on. They look like slotted holes. I don't think they're supposed to be though. But I mean, there's a bunch of cracks all the way around each one, and then it just gets worse from there. We're gonna groove them out a little bit. I mean, it's pretty thin stuff, so won't be able to do too much. But from there, once we've got it grooved out, welded up, we'll flap it back down, and then I think we'll just weld some washers on around just to build it up and give it a bit extra strength. Yeah, that sounds pretty good. All right, we got her welded up. Now we're gonna flap it down, get it cleaned up nice and smooth, and then we'll put those washers on. Turns out something like that, and I'll need to get a die grinder in there in both holes and just clean them up a bit. We'll just use this carbide burr, and then this plate should be good, and we can start working on converting over that header. So I've been working on this header for a while now, and I got a lot of clips that I haven't used that have been kind of related to this. So I think maybe we'll insert those in here and make more of the project make sense. This is what happens when you wear out or a finger guide comes off and you don't realize and keep combining. So we're gonna repair that. These like to crack here. I've repaired them. We'll just make sure the cracks aren't there anymore. And then a piece of flighting broke off, and this one got put on just quickly, but my dad's not happy with it, so I will cut another piece off of that parts header. We'll get that welded up, and then we'll check what we got for stock for bushings and fingers. Just make sure this auger is in good shape for when we put it back in, and move on to something else. I got that cleaned up. I've got my strapping that I'm going to use. I tacked it to the auger so that I can use a hammer now, and we'll just put a little bend on it. That'll be pretty close to the bend on the auger. Then we'll slide it in underneath here and get it welded in. We got our metal tacked in here at the front. I got the pry bar. We'll push up on the back, close that gap, and I'm telling you guys, by the time we're done welding, you won't even know that anything happened here. At least that's the goal. It's all sealed up now around there, and we're gonna build it up, clean it up with the flap disc, get our circle made nicely, drill and thread a new hole for our caps. I think this won't take too long. Okay, we got it all built up. We'll get the flap disc on there, clean it up, shave it down, then we'll turn down the heat, do a couple passes just to tune it up, and then we're good there. Yeah, I mean, that's not too bad. So now we'll get the die grinder, tune up our circle. We'll find one of these caps, hopefully upstairs, so we can get our hole location. Coming along good, but oh man, this thing's in bad shape. We're gonna need a ton of new bushings and holders. This is fantastic. I found me some parts. So we'll take this and this. Now we can get marked out where our hole will be right there, and get this ground out so that that fits. That's one piece of the puzzle done, and I think we'll take a look at a few more of these fingers in here. We got to see if we have any. We might have to strip some off another header. Take a look at those, make sure there's no cracks around these plates, and then move on to fixing the flighting. Now in regards to cracks like that and this one, I'm just going to take a cutoff wheel, run it straight down the crack so that we get penetration through the whole thing, and then just put a bead or two on top. Okay, we got those cracks welded up. We'll clean them up with a flap disc and then just keep looking for cracks, and they generally form around the holes. Now we are starting on the cracks on the auger. So crack there and there, we cleaned them up with a flap disc and a die grinder. Used a hammer to pound this out a bit, get it level, and then we just cut the rest of this flighting right here. I got into the thing a bit, but we're gonna get it all off because it's just destroyed in here, and clean it up, start with a good surface, and then weld some new flighting on. I'm just gonna start by saying this was not me. That's a nice bolt in there to fill that gap. I think we will get the torch out now and just do the best we can, peeling it back, building it up, that sort of thing. That's a thick weld, holy smokes. I just hit it with the torch again. Hopefully this goes better. Wow, that is on there. I'll have to bring my needle scaler maybe and see what I can do, but I don't know. We'll get the torches out again now and try and flatten out all this high shit, high stuff, and then we'll work on patching holes properly, and then we will get a piece of flighting to weld on. And so that piece right there was off of a New Holland header. And you can see that this was kind of welded on right here, but this is where the original flighting went to. So we'll try and line it up good. If you're careful with the torch, you can kind of peel it back like an onion a bit. I also wasn't too concerned because it's all kind of screwed up in there anyways. We're gonna patch a bunch of holes, so now we gotta get rid of all that slag. Maybe we just need to clean it up so we can see what we're working with. So, oh man, the auger's on fire. For sure the auger's on fire. Ugh. And it's all sunflower crap, so it's gonna smolder and stink. That's nice. So I've got it all ground down and smoothed out. Now, we will just do our best to make it look like all of that damage and carnage and holes just never even existed, and from there we'll put a new piece of flighting on. This is the kind of situation where you build it up a weld and you knock it down with a flap disc and keep hitting the low spots, and it'll turn out pretty good in no time. This is currently what it looks like here, and then it'll turn out to look like that. I'm not making it perfect because it is just an auger. It's not a show truck, but we're just trying to make some strength happen there. The perfectionist in me wants me to spend another 2 hours in here, hit every little dimple, get it looking just brand new, perfect, but that is way better than it was, and the reality of my situation is I just can't spend that time. So I think we're done cleaning that area up. Now we will go take the torches out back, cut off a piece of flighting off another auger, and get it put back together. Here we go. We managed to peel this piece of flighting off right there, and I mean, it came off in really good shape, so we'll have to clean it up and get it put on the other one. This is 853, that's an 853A. This one is actually somewhat usable. That one's just straight parts. It's pretty close, but wasn't great, so I tacked it there, had some vice grips on it there, pounded it down with a hammer to kind of get the curve a bit better, and then tacked it. And when the tack is hot, you can hit it with a hammer and it'll shrink, cool, and hold. So that's what I do there. And now we will just fill all of that up with weld. I got it welded all the way around at the bottom, filling in any gap that was there. Then I kind of cut off where things overlapped. Got the bottom tacked up, and we'll use I don't know, some pliers to hold that in line. Get that welded up good and strong, and then we'll even this radius out and should be in good shape. And I don't know, there we go. Kind of looks like a normal auger again, sorta. Might not be quite the same angle on it because this one obviously didn't fit very well, but I don't know. We got a hammer there, we can tune that up, I guess. Now that the auger is done, I am working on getting this trough fixed. Seems like there's a few spots where we've worn some holes, so there's a patch there, nothing pretty, but will do the job. And here's another one that I have patched previously, but well, it didn't last very well, so we'll try again. The fixing and repairing aspect of this header, no problem, that's the easy stuff. It's when it comes to adapting it and making it fit our combine is when it gets difficult, just because of how it was built, how it is built, and what I would need to do to make it work. It looks like we'll have enough room in the throat here to be able to open it up a bit to take our bigger feeder house. But from there, it's going to be interesting because I think this lip is too big right here. It would push it out. So we'll have to recess our mount points in there probably. Just going to be a lot of measuring, figuring out, coming up with a game plan, and then from there we'll be able to execute it. First thing I probably will do though is just open up the throat. It was closed up to fit the TR96 and 99s. The TRs, they got a tiny little feeder house. So we'll get a torch out, cut some of this stuff off that was used for that adapt, and kind of start with a fresh blank slate and go from there. And just like that, we've cut off most of the old pieces from the adapter. Apparently at one time this was hooked up to a 480 claas, so it may be that those bottom mounts work, so I'm not cutting those off. But now we need to do a bunch of cleaning up here. This piece is factory, but I'm gonna have to get rid of it so that it sits flush. We may end up cutting this whole thing out, adding just some strapping all the way around, making sure it fits good. Okay, we've got everything cleaned up to a blank slate. A lot of the torch marks we've ground off, cleaned everything up. And now it's kind of figuring out and making mounts. I've got a plan in my head. I don't know that it's the greatest one, but it would involve cutting out a big piece here or cutting this completely and then bracing it in the front. But that's the only way I can figure to get the feeder house close enough here, which it needs to be. So we're gonna make some hooks that our feeder house goes in and then get those welded in here. This is kind of what our bracket's gonna look like. We cut up a 1 1/4 inch piece of round bar, got some of this, cut holes in it, and now we're mocking things up, trying to get them as square as possible. We'll weld it. The front section of this, once we weld it into that header, we will just cut that off with a torch, however much sticks out. Probably be an inch. So we'll keep going. You'll see that I built 2 of these, which are the mounts that our header or our combine hooks up, and now we need to recess them into this plate. So the game plan is we'll get our measurements. I've got it kind of marked out here, but we'll get them solidified, and then we'll get the torch and cut this whole plate out except for the front, because this is some square tubing. We'll leave the front in, cut the rest out, slide these down inside, weld them up, and then torch off the excess, because I know there will be some, and then we'll plate the top and the bottom on this side, because you just need the front hooks to poke through up here. Once these are on and in place, the worst part of it is done. In ways of converting, because we haven't actually gone over any of this header yet on the mechanical side. And the way you do that is you flip down one of these nose cones and you open them up, and then you can look at the chains your belts, your knives, all of that, which is hidden underneath there. Kind of disconnected our screen, rolled it back a little bit so that we can get in here, because I got to take it off all the way to the edge. This is the box we're going to try and cut out with the torches. It may not be super accurate, but I've got a lot of metal to work with and it's thick, so I know I'll be able to fill it in and make it strong. So now we'll just get cutting, and I think while we're doing that, we will try and get a little bit more of this metal taken off so that it's easier to clean up with a grinder. We've got it kind of torched out here. I had to take the top off so that I could get to the bottom there. And now we can fire up the torches again, clean up our edge on the back here, get it torched all the way around, and start fitting our mounts. And then we'll get it all welded up and boxed in so that it's nice and strong again. I love cutting stuff out with a torch. It's very satisfying, very fun, and honestly, you get a pretty good cut. That's some precision right there. That fits pretty good. Gonna have to do some cleaning up yet. Some welding and whatnot, but I don't know, fairly happy with how they cut out. Making progress. When I was building these mounts, I kind of knew rough shape and size, but I didn't know exactly how it would fit when I get the measurements quite right. So now we're torching them down to the proper size, and I'm impressed. Like, they fit very nicely. We'll have a lot of strength. We'll build it up. I think this will work good. I like how it's turning out. Gotta love when a plan comes together. I think we can all agree it would probably be a good idea to have a combine here so that when I tack these things in, I could try and see if it fits. But that's not an option, so we're just gonna do a ton of measuring, like I've already done, and just go for it. And I'm sure we'll need to make a little tweak here and there when we hook up, maybe fill in a gap on the feeder house, but as long as the points hook up properly, we can work around that. I've got that one tacked in. We're gonna double check our measurements top to bottom. Then we'll tack that one in and double check our measurements side to side. And then we'll just start laying the metal to it. Oh shoot, actually I meant to weld this in first, but I guess it'll work either way. Okay, I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Inside to inside. It was supposed to be 63 1/4, and we're like right on the money pretty much. It's good front to back, they're the same, and outside is a little bit narrower, but the pegs run closer to this side anyway, so I think it should work. So now we're gonna work on getting it just welded in nice and strong, I think. Making good progress. We got this one fully welded in, still got to do that one yet, and then we'll come back over here and put a 2-inch angle going across the top to help spread out that load a bit more, because I can box this back in and add a bit more strength. I think that's as far as we're getting today. I gotta bring the conveyor belt to my place and get things set up there for Andrew. So I'm gonna call that a wrap, but hey, thanks for hanging out. We'll see you on the next one, and I think we'll be starting beams here in the next couple days again, so let's see how much we can get done.